What's up, guys? It's Lee and Sam here from Oakley Sofa Gaming. Welcome to another episode of Tutorials Played Badly, episode
8.
8, yes, correct. If you've not watched any of the other episodes, please go back and watch them. Here's the skinny. We are not expert creators in Dreams. If you're here for advanced tips,
Look elsewhere.
Close down the video. Actually, give us a like and a subscribe, then close down the video, because we do have the cool stuff. But yeah, we are idiots. If you want to learn if you want to learn the tutorials and stuff from fresh, if you don't really know what you're doing in Dreams, you're at the right place, because neither do we. We're going through all the tutorials again from the start, and we're the perfect place to start learning. Well, not the perfect place. We are a place. They should probably be on a different tutorial video, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
We shouldn't tell them that. Anyway, let's get started. So, today we're taking a look at, oh boy, if you're joining us for the first time on this video, wiring and logic. This is where things get dicey. Here's where you can learn the basics of logic, essential for making things happen. You'll find out about wiring and how to use it to make gadgets like trigger zones, microchips, counters, and timers work together. Oh my god, this is where shit gets real.
Really?
Really, really.
It's been a struggle so far, so I don't think getting real is good right now.
As I've said before, I've played all the tutorials in the past, but it was a very long time ago and they didn't really sink in. Sam doesn't really do tutorials, do you?
I prefer not to read instructions and just figure it out.
And it's got her this far in life and she's very stubborn, but in spite of that, we're going to make her play the tutorials. So I'm handing over the controller.
Wires everywhere. Okay.
Here we go.
In this tutorial, you're going to learn all about the exciting world of logic. Pay no attention to Cuthbert. It's not as complicated as it sounds. I promise.
He's crying again.
Always
Let's
crying.
check out the scene. See the buttons on the platforms in front of our good friend Connie?
Oh,
They
God.
activate the bridges that will take her to the
Buttons.
next platform. At least that's what they're supposed to do.
We've really got to listen this
To get
time.
them working, you'll need to
This
connect
time.
them to the gadgets that control them. You
It's gonna
can't
be that
see
one, isn't it?
gadgets when you're in play mode, but they let you do all sorts of useful things in edit mode. You can tell gadgets apart by their color and icons. Green gadgets are sensors and inputs. This one is what we call a trigger zone. It's one of the more versatile gadgets. It can trigger other gadgets when it detects something in the scene. Like in this case, Connie standing on the button. Hi, Connie. If you select the gadget with X,
Weird
you'll be
when she
able
doesn't
to
have a
see its
face.
detection zone.
Hmm.
That's it, right there above the button.
Okay. The little
Press the
green
circle button to
bubble.
deselect the trigger zone, and let's look at the next gadget. Red gadgets are movers and outputs, meaning they make things happen in the scene.
Oh,
This
it's wired.
particular gadget is a rotator, and it's connected to the first bridge. Click R3 to start time, and let's see what it does. Well, not a lot right now by the looks of it. That's because the rotator is switched off.
Oh,
You can tell
Clive.
because the gadget is dim at the moment. But if we connect these two gadgets together, we can turn the rotator on using the trigger zone.
Wow.
In the next step, I'll show you how.
Okay.
Before we start connecting things, make sure you can see both gadgets.
Check.
You'll notice they have ports sticking out of their sides.
Let's get that check.
Ports on the left are inputs, and the ones on the right are outputs.
Okay.
Hover over the
That's where I've been going.
Oh,
on
are there
the
like
trigger
pictures
zone
on it?
now. You'll see the word detected appear.
That means nothing to me.
That means that when the trigger zone detects something, this output will send a signal. Before it can send that signal to the rotator, though, we'll need to connect them with a wire. So hover over the detected output and press R2 or X. You'll notice your imp is now tethered to the port by a
Wow.
wire.
We got a
Power
wire.
ports have appeared on the gadgets too. It's these ports that switch gadgets on or off.
Ooh.
Okay, drag the wire over to the red rotator gadget. Now hover over the power
right?
port at the bottom.
Oh, I was
Then
wrong.
press R2 or X. Once the gadgets are connected, the wire will disappear automatically.
It didn't happen.
That way, your scene won't get cluttered. After all, you don't want wires all over the place.
I had to like circle off it.
You can see the
makes
wire
sense.
again by hovering over either gadget. Okay,
Oh, I see.
time to test our connection out. So let's switch over to play mode in the options menu.
Possess the cone.
That's more like it. Now the trigger zone detects Connie when she stands on the button and activates the rotator on the bridge. As soon as she steps off, the rotator stops working. You can use
Big
the
day,
button
you learn
to
some
get the
logic,
bridge
and
lined
you're doing
up
a little bit of
with the platform.
platforming.
I made a jump.
Press on that button for the
Once
walls.
Connie can make it to the second platform,
It
Yep.
does
head back to
nothing.
edit mode and move on to the next step.
Edits. Next.
Now that we've connected the rotator,
Oh,
let's
there's a
take
white
a look
one.
at the second platform.
A microchip.
A microchip, come
See the
on,
white
man.
gadget on its
Sounds
side?
technical.
This gadget isn't a sensor or an output. It's called a microchip.
Too many
Microchips
things.
are used to organize logic in scenes. You can think of them as boxes of gadgets and wires.
Throw
Let's
this
have a
away.
look inside.
Yeah.
Hover over this one with your
Delete.
hold L1 and press X. It's just like
That's a
scoping for
microchip.
a group of objects.
Okay.
This window is the microchip's canvas. And if these gadgets look familiar, it's because they're two rotators. Each one controls half of this jointed drawbridge. Try to
makes
connect the output
sense.
from the
Does
trigger
it?
zone to the power
Yeah,
port
because
on
you're
the
rotating this
rotators.
one and that one like 90
You can create
degrees
Simultaneously.
at the
multiple wires
same
from the same
time,
output.
and
Or you can clone wires in the
Layers
scene by
upon
holding
layers.
L1, then grabbing them with R2. Clone the wire near the rotator to create a new wire from the trigger zone. Once you've connected the trigger zone to the second rotator, switch over to play
And the
mode
power.
and
Let's
make
go in the
sure it's
power.
all working.
there's
Okay,
another one there,
jumping
wasn't
on
there?
the button now will activate
For
the
what?
trigger zone and raise the drawbridge and make sure it's all working. Okay, jumping
Okay.
on the clone the wire near the rotator to create a new wire from the trigger zone. Once you've connected the trigger zone to the second rotator, switch over to play mode and make sure it's all working.
Do you just power to
Okay,
both?
I think so,
jumping
yeah.
on the button
Switch to
now
play.
will activate the trigger zone and raise the drawbridge
It keeps
so that
going
you can
squiffy.
cross over the... Oh, wait a minute. The bridge has dropped down before Connie could cross. That's because the signal to the rotator stopped
Demonstrate.
sending as soon as Connie stepped off the trigger zone. Switch back to edit mode and rewind time with L3. In the next step, I'll show you how to make signals stay on. If we want the bridge to stay up, we'll need to add a gadget between the trigger zone and the rotator to keep it activated. We can do this with a counter. So let's go into the assembly menu. Press square to open it if it's closed. Select the gadgets menu with X. You'll find the counter in the logic and processing section. The gadgets in this menu take an input signal and change it in some way before sending it on. Go ahead and select the counter. Its icon is a tally counter. Now you can see the gadget on your imp.
Is a what now?
Hover over the microchip
Tally
and it
counter,
will
that
snap
one.
to the canvas.
The numbers on it.
Press R2 or X to stamp the counter onto the microchip. Then press circle to unequip it. The counter gadget counts up or down whenever it receives a signal through its inputs.
Feel a headache
By
building.
default,
I
it starts
know.
its count at 0 and has a target of 1. Once it reaches that target, it sends a constant signal through its counter-full output port. Before we connect it though, let's tidy up the wires
So
connecting
does that
the
mean if
trigger
someone's
zone
like
to the
triggered it
rotators.
once It
Just
sends a
hover over
constant
them
signal
and
to
press
keep
triangle
these
to
Yeah,
delete them.
active. You've got it.
active.
Wait, what
Now
did you just say?
press
Get rid of
R2
your
or
wires.
X
We're going to
over the
start again with your
detected
wires.
output of the
Oh,
trigger
okay.
zone to create a new wire. Connect it to the increase count input port on the counter. That's the port with the plus sign icon.
Okay, so
Now,
if
when the
that's
trigger
increased to
zone is
1, as in
activated,
someone's
the
triggered it
counter will
once.
go up to 1.
So
And,
we want
this is the important part, it will stay at 1 even after the trigger zone deactivates.
full to power both thingies.
Now hover
think
over the
so, let's see what he
counter full
says.
output port of the counter. This port sends a signal when the counter reaches its target. Create a wire with R2 or X and connect it to one of the rotator's power ports. Then do the same for the other one.
Actual geniuses.
Time to switch to play mode and try out our new connection.
At what point can we quit our jobs and just start like building robots and stuff?
I think it's going to take another couple of hours at least.
Just we'll practice for the rest of the day.
Everything's working as it should.
That should be
Return
that.
to edit mode and move on to the next step.
This is beginner logic. You know, there's an advanced logic, right?
Yeah, I'm afraid of that.
I need another cup of tea before advanced logic.
Just one more bridge for Connie to cross. As you can see, we have another microchip on the platform. So let's open it up.
On.
Hover over it with your imp, hold L1 and press X. Okay, looks like we have everything we need here. But Connie's an adventurer, so how about we make this last bridge more challenging? Adding a timer to the logic should get the adrenaline going. Once Connie activates the button, she'll only have a few seconds to cross before the bridge drops back down.
In theory, I love
Let's
it.
head back to the assembly menu. If it isn't already open, press square.
I'm
Then go into the gadgets section. You'll find the timer in the same place as the counter, the logic and processing section.
Yeah.
Its button has a
You did
clock
good.
face
You
on
did
it.
real good. Pat.
pat. Start
Now go
timer.
ahead
So
and
when
stamp
she
the timer gadget onto the
she-
microchip with R2
she
or X. Then
steps
unequip
on the
it from
button
your imp
once.
with the circle button.
it starts a timer.
Now let's take a closer
Oh, I
look
don't
at
know
the
about
timer's
this. You're
inputs
going
and
off book.
outputs. You can see their
Output.
names by hovering over the ports. The first input is a start timer port. Once this receives a signal, it will start the clock. The second one is reset
Or maybe you
timer,
need to go to the timer
which sets
first.
the time back to 0.
But in
Over on
jumping
the
on the
output
thing
side,
starts
we
the
have
timer, which
finished
no, I don't
and
know.
timer
Oh, what's
output.
pulse? I want to know what
Timer
pulse is.
finished sends a signal when the timer reaches the required number. It's set to 5 seconds by default. Timer output is a little more sophisticated. The signal it sends represents the timer's current progress. If, let's say, it's only halfway to its target, the signal it sends will be half strength. So how do we connect this so the bridge only stays up for a few seconds? Well, we need the bridge to be raised while the timer is running. So create a wire on the timer output with R2
Specifically,
or X.
this is hurting the left side of my brain.
Remember
I
how
don't
we
know if
used
that
the
means
counter on the
anything.
previous
Is it
platform?
like in your forehead?
We can use one here too.
Yeah, the frontal lobe.
Just like before, connect the wire to the counter's
So we're
increase count
connecting the
input.
output. So yes, it's that
Then
way
connect
around.
the counter full output to the rotator's power port. Time to see if it works. Click R3 to test it out. As you can see, since the timer isn't connected
Which one's
to a
connected
trigger
to the
yet,
button?
Pause
the
the
clock
video.
starts
Pause the
ticking
video.
as soon as we play the scene.
Ah, damn
What
it.
did I do?
Butterfingers. Rewind 10 seconds.
Just one more bridge for Connie to cross.
Ah,
You didn't listen.
No.
And then you didn't listen.
But Connie's an adventurer, so
You
once
gotta,
Connie
you gotta fast
It isn't
forward.
already
Fast forward.
the logic and
Fast
processing
forward.
section. Stamp the timer
Fast
gadget on.
forward.
Now let's take
Fast
a timer
forward.
port.
Get in there.
Required number represents the timer's
So what he was
current
saying
progress.
was that because it's not
If,
attached to the
let's say,
button,
it's only
apparently
halfway
it
to
starts
its
as soon as the
target,
time
the
starts.
signal it sends
Okay.
will be half
So
strength.
rewind there.
So how do we connect this so the bridge only stays up for a few seconds?
It's not going down
we
though,
need
is
the
it?
bridge to be
No.
raised while the timer is running. So create a wire on the
Oh,
timer
rewind?
output with R2 or X.
Left on the
Remember
D-pad?
how we used the
Nope.
counter on the previous
L3.
platform? We can use
Left on
one
the
here
D-pad
too.
under stuff. Yeah, you're right.
Just like before, connect the wire to the counter's increase count input. Then connect the counter full output to the rotator's power port. Time to see if it works. Click R3 to test it out. As you can see, since the timer isn't connected to a trigger yet, the clock starts ticking as soon as we play the scene.
We don't want that.
The bridge
That's
goes
enough.
up, but doesn't drop down when the timer finishes. That can
No.
only mean one thing. There's a problem with the logic.
Also,
If you'd like to figure it out for yourself, feel free to check the gadgets and see what's wrong. Or
No,
move on
please
to the
tell us,
next step
Clive.
and we'll go through it together.
Something to do with... No. Let's not.
So
If we
let's take a look at
extrapolate
why the bridge
the
stayed up
outgoing
after the
wires,
timer finished
we might be able to
instead of
reverse the
going back
polarity.
down. Remember how we
I think
used the
you've got
counter
it.
earlier to remember the signal from the trigger zone? Well, now it's remembering the signal from the timer, so we need to make it forget that once the timer finishes. Let's go over to the counter gadget. Hover over the inputs to see their names. This one here
count?
is reset count. It'll put the counter back to 0, which will turn off the rotator. So all we need to do is
Finished.
connect it to the timer, but to which output?
Oh, that's a good question.
Aha, there we go.
I
We
did
can
it.
use the timer finished output.
Yes,
Hover
you
over
can.
it and create a wire with R2 or X. Then
They
stretch
put a
the
wire from that
over
one to
the
that one, whereas
counter
you put
and
it
connect it to
backwards.
the
I
reset
wonder if that
count
makes a
input.
difference.
No,
Probably not.
not at all.
But we also need to
Never
reset
know.
the timer, otherwise
No.
the logic will only work once. So let's get another
thought-
wire from the timer
Oh, the
finished
timer and
output
the count.
and connect this one to the reset timer input.
Oh
You'll
my.
recognize it by the rewind symbol on it.
Oh my word.
All we have
Yeah,
left to do
we've
is
gone
to
too
connect
far
the
with this
trigger
one.
zone to the start timer port so Connie can activate it.
Oh jeez.
Okay, that was a lot of connections. So before
Yes,
we
it
test
was,
it out,
Clive.
let's go over the logic we've made.
Oh boy.
First,
Okay.
Connie activates the trigger zone, which sends a
Trigger
signal to
zone.
start the timer. Once
Starts
the clock
timer.
starts running, the timer output becomes active. This tells the counter to count up.
Output.
That then turns on the rotator and raises the bridge.
Rotator.
Now this is where the really clever stuff kicks in. After 5 seconds, the timer finishes its count, which activates
Finished.
the timer finished output. This
Output.
in turn resets the counter to 0, cutting the signal to the rotators and lowering the bridge. And let's not
Right.
forget, it also resets the timer, so the logic could be triggered again if Connie didn't cross the bridge the
Resets the
first
timer.
time.
Smart. That's
Isn't
important.
logic exhilarating? Take your time
Exhausting.
digesting all that.
No.
Logic is easier to read if you route your wires neatly. Grab wires with X to change their paths.
That's the one we've
You can
already
also
done.
move the gadgets
Yeah.
around by grabbing them with R2.
We don't need to grab and move our innards of our microchip.
But that one just works.
No, it'll time out,
Feel free
hopefully.
to test it out in play mode.
Hopefully.
Don't leave the scene just yet. I have one more thing to show you.
The exit's right there.
Can't leave. Man says we can't leave.
So,
That's what the man
on the
tells
third
you.
platform,
No,
we've set up
rarely,
a
but
timer that makes
this
the
time I
bridge
think
drop
it's
after
important
5
because it is very
seconds.
confusing.
But I think that might be too easy for a seasoned pro like Connie.
What?
Let's
We're
make
reducing
it a
the
little bit more
time.
challenging.
You're nuts,
First,
though.
if you're in play mode, switch back to edit mode and rewind time with L3. Let's move in closer to the microchip with the timer. You can use the grab cam R1 to move
The
your
tweaky
view.
tools? Always.
Now I'll show you how to tweak a
Away.
gadget settings. Hover over the timer
Tweak.
gadget, hold L1 and press square.
And then
This
change the
tweak
target
menu
time. I
contains the
suppose.
settings for the timer.
What, 9 seconds?
Hover over the sliders and buttons to
I
see
don't
their
know.
names.
2.9 sound
The
good to
top
you?
slider sets the target
See
time
what
for
he
the
says.
timer. If we lower this setting, the bridge will stay up for a shorter time. To adjust the value, hover your imp over the slider, then hold X. Use your imp to drag the slider left or right. Set it to around 3 seconds. It doesn't have to be exact.
2.9.
That's
If
fine.
you're a
Doesn't have to be
stickler for
exact.
precision,
Doesn't have to be
you can
exact, he
adjust the
says.
slider incrementally using the up and down directional buttons.
Oh, go on,
Just
man.
hover your
Demonstrate
imp
that.
over the slider and press up or down to tweak the value. In
Wow.
fact, why
Beautiful.
don't we make things really interesting for Connie?
Shall
Let's set
we?
it to 2.5 seconds.
Let's be badasses. Do
You can close the
2.4.
tweak menu now by selecting the cross in the top corner with X.
2.4.
Or you could use a shortcut. Just hold L1, then press circle while hovering over the menu to close it quickly. The same shortcut works for closing microchips. Give it a try now. Hold
Oh,
L1,
it's too late.
then
I
hover your
pressed the
imp over
cross.
the microchip and press circle.
All these wires? I could do it on this one.
Time to test out the scene in play mode.
Nice. Play mode?
Play mode.
Play mode?
If you have any problems crossing that last bridge, you can always tweak the
Yeah,
timer
that's
again
quicker.
in edit mode. Remember, just hover over the gadget,
Fail.
hold L1 and press square to open its tweak menu.
Oh, no, I don't
Why
know.
would you do this?
When you're all
I
set,
don't know.
take Connie to the last platform and
You have
walk
logic,
through the
but you
door
don't
to
think.
complete this
I
tutorial.
don't think I have logic.
Go, 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 go. Jump!
Ah,
Jump too soon.
I'm never gonna make you yell jump.
You always do what the man tells you to do.
When someone's yelling jump at me.
Shouldn't that have gone down?
No, because it's not set to go down. Oh, I can't make it. I need that 0.1 of a second back.
I thought we set that to go back down.
No, you press the button, it goes up. That was it. It's not on a timer or anything.
Okay. Go, 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 go. Jump!
Well, could be here a while.
Jump too soon?
Jump when you said jump.
No. You would have nailed it if you would have done what I said. Oh, it's close.
You didn't yell at me that time.
Old QB tried to knock you off. I saw it. He's trying to act all innocent now. Look at him.
Oh, he's got those sad eyes.
Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. We are Ugly Surfer Gaming and we upload new videos Monday to Friday from Dreams Early Access. If you like our content, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, share the video on your favourite corner of the internet. Any one of those things really helps us out. Thank you very much.